According to the Centers for Disease Control, elder abuse can have several physical and emotional effects on a person. Tonight, we explore part 2 of potential abuse and neglect happening in nursing homes and licensed assisted living facilities across Michiana. Monica Murphy investigates.
As bad as I feel right now today, and I know you see how I feel, I have to speak up, Monica. I have to.
A plea for change from one assisted living facility resident too afraid to show her face on camera out of fear.
I want new legislation. I want you to put people in place that care. I want them to do something about the people that abuse us. I want action taken. Resolve this mess. If they need more funding, give them more funding.
And she's not alone. Advocates and professionals say nursing homes and licensed assisted living facilities across Indiana need to move toward higher standards of care, better training, and more staffing.
The Indiana law says they have to maintain highest practical physical, mental, psychosocial well-being of each resident. But nowhere in those regulations does it say what those ratios should be and what the optimum staffing ratio is. And so that's why we're in the situation that we're in.
The state long-term care ombudsman program, which operates through the Family and Social Services Administration, acts on residents' behalf, visits facilities, and addresses complaints. Complaints are confidential and have a high verification rate. Lynn Clow, who is the director of the program and works closely with the Indiana Department of Health, says complaints fall into the following categories: residents' rights, resident care, facility environment and administration, and non-facility. According to recent data, the Ombudsman program received a total of 1,455 complaints for the entire state. They received 79 complaints in Area 1. 11 of those complaints were for abuse, neglect, and exploitation. There were 108 complaints in Area 2. 22 of those complaints were for abuse, neglect, and exploitation. And in Area 3, there were a total of 49 complaints. 7 were for abuse, neglect, and exploitation. And in their federal fiscal year annual report, Indiana has approximately 35,000 residents living in 525 nursing homes and approximately 36,000 residents living in 370 licensed assisted living facilities with only 21 certified ombudsmen. Carla Fales, who is the president and CEO of Real Services in South Bend, says some cases are messy.
You know, I can tell you our ombudsmen, when they see those cases, those are the ones that'll get them fired up. And you haven't seen much. You've seen a fired up ombudsman. They're very passionate. And those are the ones that we need to make sure that there's laws, that there's ramifications for those that are clear, that make sure that they happen, and then don't take an act of God or Congress to fix.
Fales also says that some cases can be resolved more easily.
But there also might be things such as access to visitors, the quality of the food, how often and how they are bathed and engage in their personal care activities. So it's all that kind of stuff. Our goal somewhat is to deal with all of those things in a very proactive way with the facilities, so you don't get to the gross neglect.
Janice Brown says that she moved into Silver Birch of Michigan City on July 29, 2020.
I would have someone to help me. I got no help while I was there, though. I was pretty much on my own.
In September of 2022, Brown claims that she was assaulted by a CNA while talking to the cook in the dining room. The CNA reportedly told Brown that her service dog was not allowed in there.
She aggressively and forcefully maneuvered her body through between the two of us, the cook and myself. So much so that, I tell you, we both stepped aside to avoid being knocked down.
Clow says an allegation of abuse is from the perspective of the person who is assaulted. Clow also says Brown's allegation could be considered abuse, or it may be staff not treating a resident with dignity and respect. According to the Family and Social Services Administration's Adult Protective Services Division, abuse includes touching another person in a rude manner. Neglect is defined as failure to provide adequate food, clothing, shelter, or medical care. And exploitation includes unauthorized uses of personal services or property. Brown says that she was not allowed to file a grievance and claims she feared retaliation.
Residents won't speak up. Retaliation is a real fear. And they know that I complain they're not going to come in my room and take care of me at all.
16 News Now received a copy of the letter of warning Brown received from the assisted living facility, which implies that Brown was not following regulations regarding resident conduct and termination. In it, they threatened her residency. Brown wrote a rebuttal, which says in part, quote, "This document shall serve as an official dispute of the false allegations cited against me," and says that management failed to conduct an unbiased investigation. Silver Birch declined to do an on-camera or Zoom interview, but in a statement says, quote, "Our mission is rooted in one central purpose, ensuring the health and safety of our residents. Our policies and procedures support this mission by proactively approaching resident care and safety through education and training. Residents are advised to report any allegations without fear of retaliation." Brown also says that she filed a formal complaint with the Family and Social Services Administration's Division of Aging and the Health Department's Long-Term Care Division. The Health Department's findings show that the complaint was substantiated and says the administrator needs to inform the division within 24 hours of becoming aware of an incident that threatens a resident. Employees who witnessed the incident say Brown and the CNA were yelling and arguing with each other. The Health Department's findings also show that based on record review and interview, the facility failed to ensure the facility's abuse policy was followed, related to not reporting abuse allegations to the Indiana Department of Health. The facility's plan of correction is also mentioned in the report. Silver Birch of Michigan City states that the employee was re-educated on appropriate conduct when addressing a resident, and that the executive director would report any allegation to the Department of Health prior to starting the investigation. Meanwhile, Brown eventually transferred to the Winmore of Portage.
Difference in day and night. Not only is management super nice, super concerned, super helpful, but I've not crossed a CNA or a nurse that has not acknowledged you. When I think about the kindness, Monica, that they showed me, the legitimate concern that they showed me, it makes me cry because I didn't get that at Silver Birch.
To help have more eyes and ears in facilities, the Ombudsman program is in the process of training volunteers.
And so that's going to really allow for greater accountability. It's going to allow them to sort of expand the program.
And hopefully enact the change that many people say is necessary across the industry. Monica Murphy, 16 News Now, investigates.
Now, the Ombudsman program just hired a volunteer program manager to help recruit and train volunteer ombudsmen throughout the state. Now, if you missed last night's special report, head to our website and click on this story. We'll be right back.